Hello, hello, hello. Okay, I think we're ready. Hello, welcome to a new episode of our Safe Space podcast. Today, I am joined by an artist and a content creator that also happens to be one of my closest friends ever. This is Leila. Leila is here with us today. Hey,
Hello.
Leila.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, so first question that I ask everyone is how are you really, Lils?
I'm actually okay.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about how I am because I feel like it's easy to go about your everyday and not really consider how you're actually doing. So that's been me for a while. Um, I wouldn't say I'm like amazing and great, but I'm definitely working through a lot of things that I need to work through. So I am improving.
And the improving is good. Yeah.
It
And
always.
yeah. Yeah. And so in line with the title of this podcast is the next question, which is what do you consider to be your safe space?
I feel like it changes a lot, but right now, my safe space, and maybe for the past few months, would have to be with my dogs and my boyfriend. Um,
Mita and Lou and Noah.
yeah, I mean, as you know, I've been living with him now for a year, just over a year. Um, and we got Noah, my second puppy, right after I moved in. And so for the last year, I guess I could just been, we've been this little bubble
Family.
family. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been really, it's led to a lot of healing in different areas for me, especially the dogs. They're so fun and
Yeah.
loving.
I love
So,
your dogs too. I love your
face.
dogs too. Best favorite dogs. But yeah, so what I kind of wanted to talk about to begin with is the fact that you moved to, or you were based in, you lived in Australia all your life, right? And
Yeah,
then,
basically, yeah.
yeah, and then you moved to Manila 20 twenty
2017.
17, 16,
2017.
17. Yeah, because that's when we met. But how was that kind of moving out of a place that had always been home to you, which is Australia, and then moving to Manila? What was that like? And how, yeah, what was that like?
It was a very wild experience looking back. I think I was, for one, I was a completely different person when I moved.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had very little understanding of what it was to be a Filipino, to be living in Manila, because I was born in Australia and I lived here for a few years, like up until I think I was 4. And then I spent the rest of my time until I was 19 living in not just Australia, but like small town Australia. I never lived in a city,
Um,
knew everyone in my town. It was that kind of vibe. And so when I moved here, not only was it different in the sense that I was moving to a big city, um, but it was also a completely different lifestyle because of living with my parents. I moved in with my dad, and just his lifestyle in general, being a public figure and an artist, um, kind of was like such a huge adjustment for me. And I think initially I just kind of floated through it without really thinking about how big of an adjustment it was. And looking back, it's actually crazy because I think now I've kind of settled back into myself. But for a while, in order to adjust to all the changes, I kind of adjusted myself. and almost like I adjusted my personality and things like that to suit my environment because I needed to cope with it. Like there was all these new things. Like I was also joining showbiz myself at the time. I was doing like, you know, acting workshops and learning Tagalog and meeting all of these other people around my age and older than me who were also in the industry. And everything I'd known until that point was going to high school in a small town. So it was
Yeah.
really, really different. Um, and looking back, I think it was difficult. And the time I didn't really notice, but looking back, like the effects that such a big transition or shift without really putting much thought into it, like it had a big effect on me. Yeah, so it was a really big change.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was overwhelming, no? Like
Yeah, it
that
was.
big change.
Especially because I was still really young. Like
Yeah.
at the time, I thought I was grown up, but looking
Yeah.
back, like I was 19 when I came here. I'm turning 25 now. Um, that was like just I it's my sister's age, my little sister's age. So it's just crazy to me to think like I'm imagining Sarah doing that, and it's just kind of crazy. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And how was it like to, because obviously Australia for a big part of your life was a safe space for you, and then you moved to Manila. How was it trying to find that safe space in Manila in a new environment with everything that was so overwhelming and stuff?
Yeah, it took time, a lot of time. Um, Thankfully, I had my family. I have family here, and so I really kind of spent my time getting to know my dad on a different level because we never really lived together fully. So that was the first time I was, you know, seeing him every day and learning like how he operates, and my stepmom as well, and then my extended family. And so for a while, they were and still are my safe space or one of my safe spaces. Um, but I was also like I said, it was such a big transitional period that I felt like I really needed to find friends as well, which was very difficult. And then I met you, so you became one of my safe spaces and one of my main like closest friends. Like you were one of my only friends for the longest time, because we met just a few months after I moved.
Yeah.
I think that was a really big help because I had someone that, you know, we'd just met, but I also felt like we could talk about anything, and
Yeah.
that was really really helpful looking back, especially, you know, like all the trips we took and stuff like that just really kind of made me feel a little bit more at home, even though you're not even here now.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
But still, you know, even if you're not physically here now, and for majority of our friendship, actually, you've been in SF. Uh, Amazingly, you still were really instrumental. And then eventually came along Mito, my boyfriend, um, and he, you know, you guys have been like my two supporters who kind of really helped me to feel at home. And over the course of that time, I've also kind of really come into my own, like as a Filipino, identifying as a young Filipino person, becoming more comfortable with the language and the culture. And I think that in itself is a kind of safe space, like the
Yeah.
community aspect and feeling, not feeling like a foreigner, even if I sound like one. Uh, I think that in itself really like embracing the culture and making an effort to like learn about how to really be Pinoy, I think that also was a safe space for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think for the both of us, you mentioned our friendship was a really like big thing. Like for me,
Yeah.
yeah, it was so important. Our friendship is so important to me because number one, we yeah, you said that we weren't together like physically for a lot of like for the
Most of
whole
the
time that,
time.
yeah, most of our friendship, but we
Yeah.
still like still made it work.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm not naturally the type who prefers LDR type friendships and relationships. Like I have
Yeah.
friends in Australia like that I grew up with, and we keep in touch but not the same way. Like I think our friendship was really so many different things for both of us because we've been friends for what, like 5 years now. I think you
Mm.
were only living in Manila for 1 year of that, or even less,
No,
like
less because
significantly.
we
And
met
that year
when did
you
you arrive? Yeah, I went to college.
so even less. So
Yeah.
all of our friendship has been like maintaining that connection through texting and FaceTiming, and then
FaceTime.
obviously we would have our like annual trips and stuff. And I think that is what really built the connection too. But yeah, I think that was really such an important thing for me because I needed someone who was also, you're very like Benoit. You understand how to be, you taught me a lot about Filipino culture and humor, and things like that. And but at the same time, you also can understand living in the US, what it's like to kind of come from the outside too, in a sense. Like you understand how both
Yeah.
sides work. And I feel like I'm two sides of that.
Mm-hmm.
um, so for me, at least, that's what it contributed to me. It really helped me. It just was having someone who I could go to about every single little problem or
Thing, yeah.
thing that I was, I think you've been there for every kind of phase of my life in the past 5 years. And there's been quite a few where I've, didn't know what I was going to do. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this now. And then I'm going to do this now. And like just having someone to kind of guide me and also remind me and pull me up at times when needed. So
Yeah. I'm always like, Leila, I got you. Like call me, message me. I'm always here because yeah, as cliche as it is, that's what friends are for. But I really am like, you need me for anything, you can call me.
me too,
You
girl.
know, yeah, yeah. And like, I think a lot of people are also, in terms of our friendship, curious as to how it started, right?
Yeah,
Like,
especially from
it's
like the
yeah,
vlogs and stuff that we used to
yeah,
do.
yeah, and
Thank you, BTS.
it really started out. We met before
Before I was a
that.
yeah,
Yeah, we met before
it's about dads.
Lila was a fan, but it like we were friends, but not that close.
We
Like,
didn't. It's kind of confusing because the very first time we met, we actually hit it off really well. We
yeah, you're at
um,
my house, right?
were at your house. We had dinner. I had
Yeah,
just come from a shoot, and we were able. Like the conversation was flying. Like it was great. So,
yeah,
and then the next time we saw each other, I was thinking like, oh, we're gonna get along really well because we already like broke the ice.
yeah.
But
It was so
it was
awkward.
so awkward. We didn't know what to say to each other.
Yeah, we talked about, what did we talk about, Lila?
Pistachio ice cream.
That was the topic of our conversation, was pistachio ice cream for a good like maybe 10 minutes, and I was like, I
When
don't know
you just
where
like
this conversation is going, but
and we're like picking at, okay, yeah, let's keep this going because we have nothing to
it's
talk
like
about.
what?
And then I
Yeah.
think it was literally like a week later, you
Yes.
saw me post
I saw
a
you post a screenshot of
Instagram story
Jimin.
of Jimin,
Yeah.
and it was from the Blood, Sweat, and
Blood,
Tears
sweat,
music
and tears.
video.
Yeah.
You were
I
like, oh my
remember
gosh, you like them? And I was like, I just discovered them. And then
that.
you basically accommodated my whole like intro into BTS and
Yeah. I was
getting
like,
me
welcome. Come here.
obsessed. Yeah, yeah. And then I think early days was when we would go to that Korean restaurant and
Yeah. Where was
eat. And
that again? In
it was Ayala 30th.
Ayala 30th. Yeah. And we would when I tell you, Lila and I wouldn't use our phones when we would meet.
As in, we
And
were
we
just,
would talk the whole time, but we would be there for 4 hours
yeah.
minimum. There was one time where it was 6 hours and it was already dinner time and people were coming. I was like, I think we should go. I think we should just head to my house. Yeah.
It was also because we would do that apart from our trip we would take together. Whenever you came home from school or from SF,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
we would only have like 1 or 2
Yeah.
days where we could hang out. So we would have lunch and we would really like
Just
just max
talk.
out the
Yeah.
time that we had.
We'd really max it out, but I have no complaints about that. I'd always enjoy
Yeah,
it.
it was really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd always like clear out a day. It's just okay. I'm seeing Leela today. I'm not doing anything else
Yeah,
because you know, we're just gonna keep going at it, just
yeah.
talking about whatever. We talk about anything,
Everything. It started off
everything.
about BTS, and then thankfully our friendship has survived past our
Beyond, yeah,
relationship. Now we can just talk about anything. But
yeah,
it's
yeah. It
great.
started out as BTS, but it's become more than that. And because of that friendship, we were so close so quickly, also that we were able to be comfortable in going on trips together,
Yeah.
right?
We'd
Yeah,
never
and
had a
those are fun.
sleepover,
Yeah.
and then we went straight to 10-day trip to
Yeah, we were like,
Seoul.
let's go to Korea.
Yeah.
Let's have fun. It's a land of BTS. Let's enjoy.
And
Yeah,
that
I
was
had
within like a year of us meeting as
it
well.
was probably exactly a year because
Yeah.
I remember one of our first conversations. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's the BTS anniversary like
Oh yeah.
week. You're going
Yeah,
to
yeah,
have so much
yeah.
fun." And the next year when I came back from college, we went on that trip around the same week.
Yeah, in
Like
June.
we
In
tried
June.
to time it so that it was like BTS was a BTS trip.
BTS trip. We did everything
Yeah.
BTS.
Yeah. But that
Day.
was yeah, and I think what something that my mom would always tell me is like in terms of friendships, like which ones are really meant to stay when
Yeah.
you go on trips with them.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. And we were like, we were fine.
We were fine. We could. There were days where because Bear gets really hangry in the morning, and
Yeah.
so there were days where in the morning you did not want to talk
Yeah.
because you
Because
were
I was
hungry,
hungry.
and I was chill.
Like,
I was like, okay, we'll
yeah,
get food,
let's
and
go
then
get food. Yeah,
let's.
because I remember you had a clip in one of your vlogs. I don't know
And
if
then
it's
I
still
got to
there,
you
but
were like,
I was just like,
she was like, I don't
I
want to talk. I don't. I
don't
just
want
want
to
to get
talk.
food.
I'm hungry. And then I can talk. And then you
Yeah,
see me in the next clip with my
I could
crabs, my
just start
soy marinated crabs.
you were like,
Yeah. I was
yeah,
like so happy. But yeah, it's like trying to that those trips was also like us trying to kind of learn through like our friendship and
yeah,
kind of
for
yeah,
sure.
learn about one another and how we can like understand one another and everything. But yeah, I always enjoyed those. It was never like and we always respected our as much as we enjoyed like going around together. There were times where you'd be like, "Oh, babe, I'm tired. I kind of want to sleep or rest this afternoon." I'm like, "Okay, I can go around by myself, and that's
Yeah.
totally fine." And it wasn't weird,
No,
and
not at all.
yeah, it wasn't weird, and that's kind of like what I also appreciated about our friendship is that we enjoyed our time together, but we also were able to give each other like
Space
space
when we
and
need it.
stuff.
Yeah, I think like
Yeah.
respecting boundaries as well and not like being offended if, one of us is just not messaging as
Yeah.
often and I mean, we kind of have at least one text to each other like most days, but
Yeah.
there are days where we're talking for like texting for like an hour and then days where we'll like just send a
Hi, miss you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
So
"Hi, I miss you."
yeah, it ebbs and flows, and I think
And
what's cool
it's
is there's no
yeah.
expectation. Like
Yeah. And
it's
yeah,
fun.
cuz I think with us it's like I know there's like you're busy and stuff, but I'll always just be like, "Oh, I thought about her today. I'll message her. Hey, I miss you." Like with no expectation, just
Yeah.
because I miss Leela. Like it was, it. I
Yeah.
just wanna. It's like, "Hi, hope you're okay. Hope you're doing all right there. Miss you." But I
And
don't
those are
expect
so
you to. Yeah.
yeah, they're so special. Like I don't even think you realize like just those check-ins are so appreciated. Even if I'm like, yeah, I'm good, but I don't want to talk. It's like
Yeah. Sometimes you're
it's
like, I don't want to talk, but I'm okay. I miss you too. It's like, okay,
yeah,
but I just wanted to make sure you're okay.
but it's yeah, and it's like even if I'm like, yeah, I'm good, I'm just chilling, it still has a big impact on me because I think that's such an important aspect of like friendship and maintaining that kind of comfortable environment is checking in on friends.
Hmm.
So, and letting your friends know that you're proud of them or that you miss them or whatever it
Yeah.
is. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah, love you. Um,
Like,
we've been able to find such a safe space in our friendship so much that I can invite you on here for us to talk about that because we've been able to be like super vulnerable with one another and comfortable in each other, even if most of our friendship wasn't, we weren't physically
face to
in the
face, yeah.
same. Yeah. And I think I really appreciate that. And that's why I kind of wanted to bring you on here to kind of talk about that because it is such a special friendship to me because I always tell people it's like, yeah, they're like, "Oh, how's Leela?" I'm like, "Oh, she's okay." They're like, and I'm like, "Yeah, she's okay. She's doing her thing. I'm doing my thing. I love her. I miss her, and I will probably FaceTime her in a couple of weeks." Yeah, and we don't have to like. It's not like we have to talk every day in a friendship.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really comforting that like I have someone who understands like we can go weeks without FaceTiming or like months without physically seeing each other or during pandemic years without seeing each other.
Yeah,
But then completely fine, like and we'll just message like nothing happened and there's never any like annoyance or anything like
yeah,
that. It's always just we genuinely love each other, which I think is really
yeah, yeah. It's like, hey, love you, miss you. It's like, I hope you're okay. Hope you're
yeah.
doing fine. It's never like, why aren't you messaging me? It's never
Yeah,
like
I think
that.
also we're probably just a bit too old for
Too
that now.
Yeah, it's like what? It's like why is she messaging me? I and also like in terms of friendships, I would just like to keep my friendships to, you know, a small group and good ones where
Yeah,
like with you. Yeah.
yeah.
It's yeah, I think we're too old to be like, why is she messaging me? Why,
Yeah, I feel like that's
you
very
know?
high school.
Yeah. And we're 23,
We're adults now.
yeah, 23, 24, turning 25. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have time to kind of argue. But yeah, I think, you know, I think someone asked me, it's like, do you fight with Leela? No,
I don't even
really we
remember
don't
if we
we don't,
ever
right?
had a fight. I feel
Yeah.
the closest to that, actually, not even close to a fight, is just like I actually can't even pinpoint. I guess just times where I would, because I guess when I'm going through weird
Ah, yeah,
emotional
yeah, yeah.
periods, and then I just like won't respond to
Yeah.
anyone, not just
Yeah.
you, but like anyone,
Yeah.
and it wasn't even you getting upset with me. You're just like, I hope you're okay. And
Yeah.
you
Because I
know,
was like,
like,
why is she? It was one of the, I think I remember, it was one of the first times where it was very early on in our friendship
yeah,
where I
where
was
I
like, ah,
went
why
through
is
my
he?
first like period of being like that you experienced,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
you were like, oh, is
Is
everything
everything
okay?
okay? But it
And I
wasn't
think
like, hey, I'm upset with you because
yeah,
you're not messaging me. It wasn't like that.
no,
It was
it was
just,
really just checking, and I was like, I'm so sorry. This is just how I am,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
I'll
I
do
remember that.
my best to yeah. That's the closest I think ever to any kind of type of argument, but it
Yeah.
wasn't
Not
even could
really.
not be categorized as an argument. But
It wasn't even. Yeah.
yeah,
We,
I those are the kinds of relationships I really look for nowadays. Like Mito and I don't even fight, and it's just because I would rather spend my energy on other things. Like so,
yeah.
it's nice to surround yourself with people. That's a safe space in itself. People who you don't fight with, and it's not because like you're being like keeping things
It,
to yourself and not being
yeah.
transparent with each other. It's purely just because you understand each other, you
Yeah.
understand how you function, and because of that understanding you don't fight because you have the same.
Exactly.
I feel like that
Exactly.
is really the kind of safe space I look for in other people.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Safe spaces in people. I've found safe space in Lila and our friendship, and it's been, as I have been saying, it's been such a big part of me. Especially, I kind of consider Lila as one of like my college friends because we literally started becoming friends as I ended high school and started in college. And then, yeah, it's been like, what, 5 years, and
5 years.
I'm about to end. And she's that one college friend for me. And yeah, actually, wait, talking about trips as we did a while ago with Korea, you also came here in my first year.
I
Forgot
did.
about that.
My parents were
Yeah.
on
Maybe
tour.
on tour, yeah.
We had like 1 or 2 days, I think,
Yeah.
and we
Where we
tried to
explored.
squish what we could. And that was
Yeah.
our first experience of realizing we enjoy the same things when traveling. I think
Yeah.
that's a really key thing to our friendship is that we both have the same, we look for the same things, we like to do the same things. And uh, that's probably when we were in SF and we realized, oh, we could probably travel together because
Yeah, we're like, oh, let's go to Korea. Yeah.
we enjoy all of the same stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And like,
Great.
yeah, it was. And I remember us talking about our dynamic just between us during one of our conversations where you were saying how, you're the one that I was like, you're the one that gives the really good advice. And then I'm the one that books the flights. And everything. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You really, until now, you're kind of like my mom in the sense that you did all the like you figured out all the logistics and all of the kind of stuff that I'm not, like when we would travel, I don't even know where we're going. I'm blindly following you. Like
Yeah,
I
she's like,
literally have
okay.
no idea where we're going. I would vlog and I'm always like, where
She's
are we
like,
going?
where are we going again?
Like
Where's this? What are we doing?
no itinerary at all. But then in return, I'm the person who's like, I listen to you and give you advice and as a 1 year older.
That's my ate, but she never likes it when I call her Ate Lila. She was like, that's like the rule in our friendship is you
So
cannot call
wrong.
me
No.
Ate Lila. And I was like, why not? So like sometimes when I like try and tease her, I'm like, Ate Lila, she's like, can you keep quiet?
It's so, it's so uncomfortable for me. I'm only a year older. It's like
Yeah. But there are people your age that I do call ate, right?
I know.
And you were like, but
Some
don't do
of
that to
my
me.
friends, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And it's
so
so funny.
bizarre.
She was like, please don't. And I'm like, okay,
I
okay.
feel like that just adding other kind of makes the relationship seem different too. Like it just
Yeah, that's what he said. It's like, no, just call me
it,
Leela. But yeah, it's so funny. I was just like, okay. And I just bring out the Ate Leela once in a while. And she's like,
when you
"Er,
need
yeah.
it. I'm just like, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But I'm so happy that, especially in these 5 years, even if we were like a long distance friendship, it's still the same
it feels the
when
same. Like we've been
it's,
through a lot of what I was thinking earlier, which is really interesting, is we have both witnessed each other's like different stages in life. So you've witnessed me and I've witnessed you as like a single person and then in a
mm-hmm,
relationship
yeah.
and
And
going through
yeah.
personal mental health
Mm-hmm.
issues and all the kinds of different stages that you can go through as a young adult
Yeah.
in your early 20s. We have both witnessed it for each other and kind of like walked each other through that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's amazing that we've been through all those things, but our friendship still feels exactly the same.
Exactly. It's like, you know, Lila's that ate that she's that ate. She's that older sister, but also like best friend that you know, that's just always there for me. Like the ate I don't have, but doesn't want me to call her
Yeah,
ate.
that's okay. I get
But
that.
yeah, like, it's especially when Lila's seen, or we've seen each other in the highs of highs and like the lowest of lows, and we're just like, you know what, I'm here for you, you'll
Yeah.
get through this. And I remember one of the times, like, we was like, you'll be okay. I'm like, no, I'm not. And she was like, you will be. And I was like, why
Look
is she
at you
so calm
now.
about this? Yeah. And she was like, you'll get through it. And I was like, um I don't think so, but okay. And
Yeah.
I told her a couple of months later, I was like, I'm fine. And she's like, see, I told you. And she was
Yeah.
like, it's going to be okay. And it's that kind of like comfort that I feel in Lila that just, it makes me so happy that we are and continue to be like super, super close. And we're so open about it also. I think earlier on, I remember one time we were in Korea, you were like, why don't you call me your best friend?
Okay. I was a little bit drunk or a lot drunk.
I remember that.
I wouldn't, just disclaimer, I wouldn't say that like normally. But yeah, that
But
was in the
it was earlier on.
we
Yeah.
didn't
And
really address like what our friendship what we it's like a relationship, so weird. But we hadn't like established what our friendship was like
yeah.
and in my mind you were my best friend.
Hmm.
And also I was a lot younger then and I think growing up I wasn't planning on sharing this, but growing up I had trouble like with friends. Like I always felt like I needed to have this group of friends, which I eventually got when I was in college, but up until that point, like I didn't. And so I would have this insecurity that I thought of a certain person as my best friend, but they didn't.
They didn't.
And now at the age I'm at now, I'm like, that's so silly. Like there doesn't need to be that kind of expectation or, like even the term best friend is, we just have a lot of really, really close friends and friends that we see as family. But at that time, uh, that insecurity, I think, was still there. And so
Hmm.
that is why I was like,
It
am I
came out on a
miserable?
night out.
Yeah.
And I was like, but you are. I was like,
It was, and then I think after that, we established, okay, now we can openly talk about
yeah. It's like,
loving
okay,
each
now
other.
we're best friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And
was
those
funny.
best friends were able to like help each other through a lot and everything. And like, yeah, it's been, yeah, I really have found such a safe space, like in terms of safe spaces within people, you are a really big one for
You
me.
too.
That
You
I,
too.
I
For me
know, and it's like something I always write it to you. Lila and I write letters to one another, and I always write that. It's like, our friendship is something that I always and always will hold close to my heart. But
Me
you
too.
know, it's trying to. What I've learned in our friendship is that you you just have to be the most comfortable, most vulnerable, and if it reciprocates, then it's a friendship that
Then it's a
stays.
lucky match.
Hello, we're back. I'm so sorry about that, but we just had some technical difficulties. But it's okay. Life goes
Because
on.
we're back. We're here.
We're back. It's
It's
okay
working.
because we're back and we're here to talk more as we do when Leila and I are when it's just the both of us. But we were talking about, like, before it got cut off, we were talking about the safe space that we found in one another. And we mentioned it earlier as well, but we were also messaging during this technical difficulty.
Yeah, we
um
still find time to talk
yeah,
even
see,
when
we're still talking. If technical difficulties, they they are no match for us because we'll still be talking.
yeah,
But yeah, one thing we said was, yeah, I love that we're so comfortable in our friendship and in one another that we can just be open and talk about it, even keeping in mind that other people are going to be hearing or listening or watching this,
yeah.
you know? And one thing we did actually mention, like when we were talking during
Off
this
air.
technical, yeah, like, and when we were talking about, when we were talking during the technical difficulty, we mentioned something which was quantity, oh no, quality over
Quality
quantity.
over quantity. I was saying how
Yeah.
um, because I have a very small circle of friends. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have like acquaintances and people that are kind of, you can go out with them or whatever. But my group of friends that I really like put time into and invest time into is very small, like really, really small. Uh, and that used to make me insecure. I think like I used to feel like I needed more friends, but
Mm-hmm.
now I see that there is value in it because I just want to spend my time around people who are easy to spend time with because you just flow so well, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with keeping a small circle of people. So
Yeah. It's like you don't have to, like, it's good to have a lot of friends, but I always used to feel like I just needed to have a lot of
yeah,
friends.
like
But
a lot of extra energy that you
yeah.
could be spending on other things. I think it's so fun to have big gatherings and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, and have a lot of people that you know, and there's definitely value in that. But I think it's like looking at it in like spheres. So you have like your immediate bubble, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have, and yeah, I would say like you and a select few other friends like that I have back home would be, those ones that are really, really close to me. And I'm perfectly fine with that. So,
Yeah. Me too. Can I can name like five people that I'm like
yeah,
super close to, and I'm like, is that a bad thing? No, it's not a bad thing. I like it
it's
because,
a good thing. You should be grateful for.
yeah, it's special people that I like keeping in my life. And as I said earlier, you are that space for me. And as I said in the pilot, for those who are listening, even when everything around us is changing, your safe space is always there, and Leela is always there for me to support me when things get tough, or like even when things are tough where I don't want to talk, she's still there, and she'll just be like, I'm here if you want to talk. And I'm like, I don't want to talk. She's like, okay, but I'm still here. And even to cheer me on when good things happen, that
Yeah,
safe space, Lila is there for me. And that is kind of why I wanted to invite her over here at our safe space to kind of talk about our friendship and how we've kind of navigated through that, because it's a very special friendship where, as we said, we've mentioned a lot here that we weren't together physically a lot of it, and we've still managed to be the closest of friends. Nothing
it's
has stopped us.
beautiful.
I know. It is. And when we call, it's like, "Hey, how are ya?" It's like we just called
Yeah, it's
a
no
couple
time.
of days ago, and it's just like, even though we haven't called, like, we called, when was the last time before this? Yesterday, no? Was it yesterday?
Your day before yesterday, I think,
Yeah,
and then
day before yesterday.
it had been a few weeks.
A few weeks or
Yeah,
over a month, I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
it'd
but
been
it's like,
a while. But it
no,
was
but it's
chill.
still like,
We were
hey,
laughing and like
yeah. It's
it was
like,
whatever. It's fun.
it's still the same. And I hope, people that are listening do, if they don't have that already, find those friendships. I'm sure it's hard because it, you know, took me a while to find
Yeah,
such a
it's and
friendship.
like I think it's a special kind of friendship. It's not the most common where you can really maintain a good relationship even when you're not seeing each other face to face. But I've had people ask me like, when I've been talking on social media about how to, find people in your life that you feel like you can be yourself with. Some people, complain about not being able to feel like be their full selves like around their family and stuff like that. And for me, and this is something I struggled with, but you kind of have to put yourself out there and make the effort to meet people, and eventually one of them will stick. One of them will be that person, or maybe a few of them. Maybe you'll find a group. um, Mita's always encouraging me because I would complain, especially when I was missing you and you'd be abroad. I'm like, I have no friends, and he's like, you just have to put
Put
yourself out
yourself
there.
out
You have to
there.
make the effort, and when you do, you'll be pleasantly surprised. So
Hmm.
yeah, um, I also hope, to everyone that's listening, I hope that you got a little bit of an insight from us and the way we function. And I
Way we
think
function, yeah.
the way we function, the way we work together to keep the relationship and the friendship afloat and healthy. And most importantly, keeping it a safe space, free of any
Yeah.
kind of toxic energy
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because that's what's really important. I think that's key to a healthy friendship or relationship, is
Yeah.
getting out all that toxicity.
Toxic. Yeah. Uh, toxic people. Like, I just don't like, especially like when I kind of see it and I can sense the toxicity. It's like,
We don't have time.
yeah, I don't have time for that, especially toxic friends. But
Only
how
safe
do you, I have a question that just
pops
came
in your head.
to mind now. Um, how have you ever had like those toxic friends, and how were you able to, like,
And maneuver that.
yeah.
It's actually funny. I had a conversation recently when I was in Australia in January, and
Mm-hmm.
I saw some of my friends that I made in college, and they were by far my, like, before I moved here, they're like my closest friends, the ones that I lived with them when I was in college, so we're very close. And I went to one of my friends' houses, and we were kind of talking about me in the past and experiences I had with certain friends that initially we got along really well, and then the friendship turn kind of toxic in a way. And literally, in this sense, the way that I am is very black and white. If you are not, or if I feel like neither of us are helping each other, or I feel like if we're just not good for each other, or if I feel like I'm starting to think negatively or toxically because of, just the fact that we don't vibe together, I will literally just not, I'll just end the friendship. Like, and
Yeah.
I feel like some people think that's really, like my friend, when she brought it up to me, she's like, I remember you in college. Like, there was one person I was friends with, and she was like, you just cut them out so easily. And it wasn't something that you kind of like belly ached over. You just were like, this isn't serving me, drop it. And
Yeah.
she was like, how do you do that? And I was like, and it's funny because in other parts of my life I'm always thinking about worrying about people's feelings and worrying about, but in that sense I feel like if it's not serving me, it's probably not serving them either. It's better for both of us if we just, you know chill out, part ways. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. A lot of people feel like, oh, I have to please everyone, oh, I have to maintain all these friendships, because if I have a lot of healthy friendships, that it's gonna, you know, work out somehow. But honestly, it's a lot healthier if you really focus on imparting and also receiving good energy. You know,
Yeah.
it's there's nothing wrong with kind of, and you don't have to be mean about it. Like, I was never mean about
Yeah.
it. It's just, hey, sometimes it just naturally drops off. You don't have to say anything. If you just kind of stop putting in that effort, and then they might reciprocate and it just naturally fades away, that's perfectly fine. There doesn't have to be any negativity or animosity with it. So that's,
Yeah.
in that sense, that's how I deal with those things. I'm very
Black
just
and white. I think that's something I've learned recently. You mentioned how if it's not serving me, it's probably not serving them either.
yeah,
And also that, and also trying to think of myself first,
yeah.
because at the end of the day, right? And we've talked about this a lot, how the longest relationship you're going to have is the one with yourself. So
Hmm.
that's the relationship also that you have to take care of the
Yeah,
most.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
yeah, it affects all relationships that you have. My friendship with Leila, my friendships with other people, my relationships with my family members, everything. So, yeah, yeah. Should we end
Yeah, it's
there?
really it's really essential to maintain that relationship with yourself, and that's something we were just speaking about the other
Yeah,
day, like working on, because while it's important to have like safe spaces in other people, you can have multiple safe
yeah.
spaces. One
Mm-hmm.
of them needs to be yourself. And
Exactly.
if you're not good with yourself, you're not going to be good with anyone else. Like, you have to
Mm-hmm.
have a positive mindset. I mean, even like we were saying earlier, the times when I wouldn't really reply to you or to anyone and wouldn't be a functioning member of society is because I wasn't doing well inside.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if I had engaged in like my friendships and stuff at that time, nothing really positive would have come out of me at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, on the other hand, though, it's also good to kind of let people be there for you. It's just finding
yeah,
that balance. And I think that's something that we've found. It's like, okay, I'll leave you alone for X amount of time, but now I'm going to
yeah,
kind of encourage you to,
yeah. I
to
sometimes I'd be like, I'm gonna make you kulit, ah. I'll make you kulit tomorrow at 7 p.m. my time.
yeah, you're just like,
And
I'm
she's
just going
like,
to call you. You can
yeah,
choose not to pick up,
yeah.
but
It's like,
I'm going to call.
I'm gonna call you. You don't have to pick up, but I'm gonna try and call you every day. If you don't pick up, it's fine. And that's also something I tried to like. I learned about myself recently. It's like if they don't pick up, they're just busy. It's not that they hate me,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
But yeah, it's like I'm gonna make you kulit. If you don't pick up, okay lang. I'll call you tomorrow. I'll try again.
Kulit, no?
Yeah, we're. I think we're very makulit to each other in
Yeah,
that sense.
I
But
don't mind at all.
I don't either. I'm like, okay, let's talk. Like, and we'll have the funny thing is, I should remembered we have like I think it always happens, but we have conversations on every social media platform at the same time
Oh my gosh, that happens so often. Like, and we'll be talking about something like really serious on like texting, and then something like really funny meme
on
type on
Instagram. Like I'm
Instagram.
like, ha ha ha, look at this, and then here's like, yeah, I know, I'm not really happy, but
Yeah, it's great. I enjoy it.
it's
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 dynamic.
yeah, that's how we work, and
Yeah.
we enjoy it. It's great. Yeah, yeah. I guess we can end there with talking about our friendships and you moving to Manila, which I'm so happy happened because if it
Me
weren't
too.
for that, you
We
know,
wouldn't know each other.
I know, which is
Thank
so
you for
funny
having.
because, yeah, it's so funny because our dads know each other, but we never met until you
Yeah,
moved.
literally. Like, didn't know you existed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I was like, I know Tito has a daughter. I just never met her. But
it
now look
was
at this.
kind of I think they were surprised too.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
They were very surprised
our kids
with
get
how
full.
close we got so
Yeah,
quickly. Yeah,
yeah.
my dad would tell me that too. And I'm like, well, that
Just worked
it
out.
happened and it worked out, and I'm very happy about it. And with that being said, thank you so much for being my third guest. You're my third guest on our safe space. Thank you so much,
Congratulations.
Leila, for thank you, and thank you for being here. And
Thank
who
you for
knows,
having me.
maybe it's no
I'll be
problem.
back again.
Maybe she'll
Maybe
maybe
I'll
she'll be
have
back
another
again.
guest
Maybe
too.
she'll have another guest with her.
As if we haven't talked about this.
As if we didn't like I didn't ask her about this, but maybe she'll be back.
Maybe.
Who knows? But
But I had fun.
in the meantime, do follow us on Spotify at the title obviously is Our Safe Space Podcast, and subscribe to us if you haven't already on YouTube. Same name, Our Safe Space Podcast. Follow us on Instagram as well if you want to, which is at oursafespace.ph. And if you have any questions that you want Leela and I to cover if she comes back, message me message me on our Instagram, as I said earlier, at oursafespace.ph. And if there are other topics aside from what you want me and Leila to cover that you want me to talk about with other guests that I have, feel free to message me or comment on this video on YouTube as well. I'll be open to anything, feedback, comments, whatever. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to us ramble on about our friendship. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye, guys.